Hello, back again to do another unboxing and review. Today we're going to be looking at a game controller peripheral, which is multi-platform, Android 4.0 or later, Windows PC, and Sony PlayStation 3. Alright, so this comes to us from a company called GameSir, and this is the G4s. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at it. Oh, we already are. And that's because the whole front of the box, which is actually a case, is clear plastic. So, and also kind of a nice plastic too. Has more of a thump thump instead of a tick tick tick. So, alright, let's look around at the sides here. And we can see we have a little schematic of the controller. And then some icons, which are features. Now, keep in mind here, it says G4 Advanced Edition. Over here, it is the G4s. All right, so it's the G4s. Okay, now going down, you see it has a little Android logo there and A plus Home, so that's the Android 4.0 or later. Plus Home, I assume means like a TV top box. Now, this icon over here, X plus Home, I'm not really sure what that's about. It shows like a picture of a monitor, and if that's supposed to tell us about the PC, okay, great. Now, as far as you iOS people, I have nothing in my literature saying that this works with that, so keep that in mind. Alright, next feature is colorful backlights, and yes, it does have LEDs, and quite a few of them. We have an LED for each of the main buttons, and then also for like the battery meter, and yeah, so lots of light up buttons. And also you can adjust the intensity or the brightness, I should say, of the lights, at least for the four main buttons. Alright, next over we have precise analog joysticks. Yes, we have two of those, and we also have a D-pad. Vibration motor. Evidently in this particular controller you can adjust the vibration, but not just the intensity, but also the frequency of the vibration, which I'll be interested to test that out. High performance lithium battery. Okay, that is claimed to be a built-in 800 milliamp hour lithium battery, and they say it lasts up to 18 hours in normal conditions. Alright, going over to this other side, we have the model, also what's included. The controller, of course, a user manual, and a USB charging cable. Alright, we're going to get into connectivity in a second here, but let's just go down here and look at the company information. The company information claims this is from Guangzhou Chicken Run Network Technology. That's a rather humorous name for a company. No insult intended. I'm just saying Chicken Run. I don't know. First thing that comes to mind was that, what was it, 2000 movie Chicken Run? Anyway, going on, there we have the address, and as you may expect, it is from Guangzhou, China. And then also their internet address is GameSir.hk. I'm assuming that's Hong Kong. Alright, it's made in China. And on this side, we don't have anything there. Over here, it's just okay. Now, I was talking about connectivity. I said come back to it. This evidently has three ways of connecting to your computer, tablet, phone, whatever. And that is 2.4 gigahertz, so that's your wireless. You have Bluetooth 4.0, another form of wireless, I guess, and then wired. So you can use the charging cable. I assume it's also data, not just charging. And you can just connect it directly for there. And I think I'll do that for my more intense gaming, right? Anyway, alright, with that, let's get to the unboxing. Alright, so the lid was secured to the bottom of the box with this piece of tape that ran the whole perimeter. So that was how it stayed closed for the store. Now to open it, I do see that there's these little tabs here. So I'm just going to go ahead and push in the side of the box and lift up, which, well, that's how you're supposed to do it. Okay, lid off, and now here we are. Here the analog sticks have these little protective covers over them, and this one was already off. I'll take off the other one. Alright, pull her out here. I think I'll just take out the whole tray. Alright. So, on the bottom of the box, we have this. Not quite sure what this is at the moment, but it has some rubber in there. Something for gripping. Okay. We have the charging cable, which I assume is also data, or yeah. But okay, and the manual. Alright, so it's in English. We got pictures. Okay, and there. Alright, okay, so good. I'll definitely look at that. And nothing else in there. Okay, back to the controller. There she is. So, what I'm feeling here is these here are rubber. They are pretty grippy. The body of the controller is in fact plastic, as you may expect. These buttons here on the shoulders, I'm trying to see if they're metal. Okay, so basically plastic. Let's talk about the buttons here. Those feel good. D-pad. Feels good. Thumbsticks. Feel good. Do they push in? Yes. Alright, this one here with the logo of the company, or the model line at least. Woo! Colors! Alright, so evidently this shipped with some charge in it. Ooh, pretty. Alright, I'm assuming it's trying to connect or something. Oh, there's our battery meter. You can see it's 1 blip out of 4. Okay, so we found the power button. Up here though we have select. Here's start. There you have your shoulder buttons. Nice and shiny. Yeah. Alright, and there is where we plug in our USB. And did I turn you off? I'm just going to push and hold. I assume that turns it off. I was right. Now, this is supposed to, there we go. So that folds up, and I guess you can pretty much guess what that's for. That would be for your smartphone. And the grabber is spring loaded, so you can see it goes back down. Now, as far as the phone size that this can take, I believe it said up to 6-inch phones. So, and that's about as far as it stretches out. So, and it has 2 stops, if I recall. That's the first stop. That's your second stop. So, how much angle you want in your screen. Now, down here, this is supposed to be where the wireless dongle goes, if I'm correct, the 2.4 gigahertz. Alright, so I found out where the USB dongle goes and where it is now when you get your controller. Now the reason I say that is because if you look at the package contents here that are listed out on the box, and it says, okay, you get 1 gamepad, 1 user manual, and 1 USB charging cable. And you'll notice nowhere does it say anything about you get a wireless dongle. So I was under the impression that it just didn't come with one and you had to supply your own. So while I was kind of looking through this, I'm figuring, okay, well, I get you put it in here, and I was figuring this would be like a swinging door, like maybe when you push, that door opens. But as I was pushing here, this doesn't give. So I'm thinking, well, how in the world are you supposed to put anything in there, even if you have to supply it on your own? Then I noticed that, you see there's like a little ledge. Maybe it's not coming up on camera, but there's a little ledge in there. So I just put my finger in there, and I just went ahead and put my fingernail in there, and I pulled it out, and well, look at that. There it is. And it even has their name written on it. So, all right. So this is, in fact, the dongle. It would have been nice if they've told us about it on the box, but now you know. So, and then when you want to put it back in, you go ahead and you just insert it like that and give it a little push, and it stays in place. and it also is held further in place when you close that. Oh, by the way, under here there's some more buttons. There's clear and then turbo. Now, from what I read, I believe the turbo is like you can push that and then push a button, and then I think it sends like rapid fire, so you don't have to actually keep pounding Y or whatever. Again, this is me just looking over the literature real quick, and I think you can do that for multiple buttons, not just Y, of course. I think the only thing you can't do that with is the D-pad, but again, that's something that you can read about in here. Now, clear, I think that has something to do with, clearing or doing different functions and whatnot. But you do control the changing the vibration and the lights from hitting, I believe, one of these buttons that might end then up and down to adjust that. So, all right, now bring that back down. Oh, there's some more down here. Of course, not a lot, but you do have a reset. So that's one of those pinholes. When things go chaotic, you can bend a paper clip or and stick it in there. Hopefully you don't have to do that too often. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and charge it so we have more than one blip of battery power, and I will go ahead and start testing it. All right, so I have the controller charging, and in the meantime I thought we could go through here and just point out a few things in the manual that are pretty important to operating the controller. So some of the basic stuff, but here we'll start. It does have a sleeping function. There are two different criteria that will cause it to go into sleep mode. Next page, the brightness adjustment we already talked about, and it tells you how the key combination to put in to do that. But now down here it talks about vibration intensity adjustment. Now notice it doesn't say anything about vibration frequency adjustment. So I'm not sure if they opted not to have the frequency function in this controller from when they did the literature, or if it's really in there and they just didn't mention it here in the instruction manual. So that's just something to keep in mind. All right, going on, let's talk about the different modes of connecting. Bluetooth, to pair this thing, you, like any other device, you open the Bluetooth on your phone, tablet, whatever, and then you push the A button plus home for 2 seconds, and that'll get the thing to sync up. Now, there's something also called mouse simulation mode. This essentially makes it so that one of the left joystick is like moving the mouse, and then the A button is your left click and the B button is your right click. And there's a way to get that active. It's another button combination type deal. Now, there's also something called Android mode only, which essentially is it just omits. Here's another key code to get that to activate, but the difference here is that it essentially locks out mouse mode function. Alright, what else do we have? This is kind of important. The switch D-pad and left joystick. So not all apps, games support a D-pad, in which case you can do this key combination, and what that'll do is it'll make the D-pad essentially like the left joystick, so that you can keep your thumbs on the same level as opposed to having to do this. And alright, what else? The turbo mode is what we talked about earlier. Alright, so other than that, if there's a few other things in here, but I think those are the important things to know. Alright, so here we have the controller fully charged. You can see on the left I got the four blue lights. And right at the moment I have it connected to my computer using the supplied micro USB cable. And yes, that cable is data as well as charge. Now let's talk about connecting it to the computer, because it really is just that simple. Plug one end into the controller, the other end into your tower, and if you have Windows 10 like I do, it recognized this as a GameSir controller, even had the right model number. It took about maybe 5 seconds to go ahead and tell me it's ready to go. So yeah, it's plug and play. Now let's talk about the actual using of the controller. Now when I decided to test Cat Quest, the demo for Cat Quest, because I knew that game had supported controller, so I went ahead and played it, and the controller works. So now this is using the wired connection. Now to talk about using the Bluetooth connection, let's go to the smartphone. Alright, so here we have my phone being held by the controller's bracket, and actually the bracket's doing a good job of holding the phone nice and snug. That phone in there is a 5.5 inch screen,
and I don't feel that the phone is going to fall out. Now, keep in mind, I wouldn't go crazy and whip the controller all over, because then the phone might actually fall out, but under normal circumstances, it should be more than adequate. Now, that said, keep in mind this phone does not have a case on it. If you had a thick case, I don't think it would hold in there very well, so take it out. Okay, so let's talk about the pairing with the controller. That's done in this setup. That's done through the Bluetooth. So it's just like any other Bluetooth device. Open up Bluetooth on your phone, search for devices, and then on the controller you hit the main button there in the middle, the home button, and hold down A at the same time, and then the middle button starts to flash, and then you know the controller's in pairing mode. On the Bluetooth device list, it comes up as GameSir. I think even the model number shows up there, so it's real easy to find once it's detected. And yeah, after that, now I wanted to test to make sure that every button on the controller worked. So on top of playing a game, I went ahead and used an app that is basically that's a diagnostic tool. So you push a button on the controller, and then there's a little graphic on the screen, and it shows the button that you pushed, and it lights up on the little graphic on the screen, so you can make sure that all the buttons work. Also on the analog sticks, it has the degree, like how far to the left are you pushing it. So and I went through like as much of the gradations as I could, slowly moving the analog sticks in all the directions, and everything came up great. Also, pushing in the analog sticks as a button was also detected. So every button on the controller was registering, so excellent. Now let's talk about playing games. I went ahead and played Bomb Squad because that game is really heavy on movement, and it makes use of the kind of rolling the analog sticks. You can run in circles and do all kinds of cool stuff like that. Anyway, and that worked super. So so now we know the Bluetooth works great, the wired works great.
Alright, so now on to the 2.4 gigahertz connection method. So using this little dongle right here, I went ahead and plugged this into my tower, and I was able to get a connection. Now, as the instructions say here, the 2.4 gigahertz connection mainly for smart TV. Alright, so I just went ahead and tested it on my tower, as I just said, and I was able to reload the home page. Every time I pushed this button here, it refreshed the home page. Now, I just wanted to test it to make sure that the supplied dongle, actually does connect, and it isn't just a piece of plastic, and it does in fact connect. So, however, if you have a smart TV, you'll probably be able to make much better use of that function.
Okay, so here we are back at the computer, and I'm doing the wired connection, of course, and I wanted to show you this mouse mode. So to do it, you once the controller's connected and everything's running, you push the select button and hold X, so simultaneously, and then this middle light button turns white as opposed to its normal color. Now, once you do that, you can use your controller as a mouse. So you see I pulled up this little Word document here, just a demo, and I'm going to use the left analog stick here, and you can see when I move it, it moves the cursor. And it also responds to how far over you push the stick. So just a little, and it moves slow all the way, and it soars off to the side. So excellent. It's proportional. Okay, now as far as clicking goes, I'll get my cursor in there, and you use the A and B buttons. So if I push A, it should change where it's at. Yeah, so it does work. And also B is right click. Let's see what happens when I push that. Oh, there we go. So yeah, it's working. That's cool.
Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how to adjust the brightness of the LED lights. So to do that, it's a multi-button combination. You have to hold 3 buttons and then toggle with a 4th. So what that means is you're going to hold in L2, R2, and push in R3, which is the analog stick. When you push it in, it counts as a button. So doing that, once you have all 3 of those down, you can hit up or down on the D-pad to adjust the brightness. I have it all the way down now, hence the lights are off. And you can increase the brightness by going the other direction. Now, to adjust the rumble intensity, it's a little simpler than the brightness one. You open this up, there, you push the turbo button, which is at the top here, and as you hold that down, you hit up and down on the D-pad to adjust the rumble intensity, up, increase, down, decrease. So holding in turbo, and of course it rumbles on both sides. Alright, so I've been using this controller now for about a day, maybe a little bit longer, and I can give you my take on it. Now keep in mind, I've only been using it for that short period of time, so I can't speak to if the analog sticks are still going to be as smooth or the buttons are going to be as clicky 2-3 years down the road. I have no idea. But from the time I spent, I can say the following things. First, we'll talk about, did it ever malfunction? I think that's important. And one time it did. I had it on and I couldn't turn it off. I tried pushing in the home button the way you're supposed to, and it just wasn't listening to me or doing what I wanted. So I had to go ahead and use this, just a paper clip I straightened out partially, enough to stick it into the reset hole on the bottom. Once I did that, I turned it back on and everything was good. Okay, and that didn't happen again. So, also, since we're on the topic of malfunctions, one thing I wanted to mention is that the turbo button. I went ahead and tried to use the turbo feature right there on that Cat Quest demo, and what it ended up doing is it ended up making the button that I tried to associate with the turbo feature non-functional. So then I couldn't attack at all. So I'm not sure if it's just that particular game that feature didn't work with, but yeah, I'd say use that cautiously, because in order to get my controller back to working, I had to basically power cycle the controller, unplug it, turn it off, turn it back on. So yeah. All right, next, talking about using it, compatibility with apps and games. Now, as I already mentioned earlier, I did use it to play a game on my computer. Since then, I've played another game on the computer that uses or has controller support, and it worked really well. That game also required the use of both analog sticks, and it did a great job. Now, with that being said, not every game I tried to play did this controller work. But I'm not clear as to whether that was the fault of the controller, or if the game just doesn't have widespread controller support. Maybe it might only work with like the Logitech one or whatever. So that being said, just be advised that just because you see something on Steam, for example, that says controller support and has a little icon, it's not 100% proof that this controller will work with that game. Alright, so let's get to the conclusion here. Would I recommend this controller? Yeah, I would actually. Now, I'm sure you're going to be able to find a controller out there that's better than this one. Maybe it has metal trigger buttons or whatever, floats your boat. However, for what you're paying for this, I think you're actually getting a better bang for your buck than with some of those higher tier gamepads. Now, within this model line, they have some that are lower than this, and I would recommend getting this one. Because, well, it has more features than those lower tier ones, and you're not really going to be paying that much more. So I think this is your best deal. And I would say that it is versatile with its 3 ways of connecting. So it can be your controller at home and your controller for on the go.